at 9. Debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
And joining me tonight, Ishkaran Bhandari, advocate, Vandana Singh, leader of the Samajwadi Party, Tehseen Poonawala, political analyst, joining us in just a bit. But my first question goes to Sanju Verma, national spokesperson of the BJP. And Sanju Verma, the question goes out straight to you. As Akhilesh Yadav spoke to our reporter today, he said, nothing in a picture can actually prove anything. Otherwise, should people believe that the Prime Minister's pictures with various industrialists or diamond merchants who've run away from the country, there are pictures of the Prime Minister with them. So in that case, that would also ring true. Do you think this is a convincing response coming in from Akhilesh Yadav?
Navika ji, I will lay down the facts as they are. First and foremost, it's true that, as people who are, meeting up with the public at large on various platforms, it's quite natural you get photographs with dozens of people you need not necessarily know. But here, let's not trivialize by making such an innocuous statement. Akhilesh Yadav has actually trivialized the 56 people who lost their lives in the 2008 Ahmedabad blast and 200 who were grievously injured. I'll say one thing to corroborate my point. Forget about who's photographed with whom. किसकी तस्वीर किसके साथ खींची गई, ये तो बेमतलब बात है. मुद्दे की बात ये है that in 2006 you had the Varanasi blast near Sankat Mochan Mandir. In 2007, Navika ji, you had the Lucknow and Gorakhpur port blast. In 2008, 7 people from the CRPF lost their lives when they were attacked in Rampur. And what happens when Akhilesh Yadav comes to power in 2012? Immediately, the first thing that his government does in 2012 and 2013, there are more than a dozen PILs and, a different kind of yachikas filed with the Allahabad High Court and the Lucknow High Court, saying that the perpetrators of the Varanasi bomb blast of 2006 and 2010, the Indian Mujahideen to be precise, ye bekasur hain. They are innocent. The Lashkar-e-Toiba and Simi, which was very active at that time, their name cropped up in the Gorakhpur blast. Akhilesh Yadav again went to the Allahabad High Court saying, Simi bekasur hai. Mulayam Singh Yadav actually said, the people involved in Simi, ye desh bhakt hai, desh dohi nahi. And look at what Abu Azmi, one of the senior Samajwadi Party leaders from Mumbai, said 3 days back when the judgment of the Ahmedabad bomb blast came out. He said that Mohammad Saif, the man who's been sentenced to death, and Mohammad Saif's father, Shadab Ahmed, is an active card-carrying member of the Samajwadi Party. Do you know what Abu Azmi said? He said, Mohammad Saif hamare liye ek shaheed hai. So aapke liye jo आतंकी हमलों में इतनी तरह एक्टिव तरीके से पार्टिसिपेट करते हैं, जो आतंकवाद को बढ़ावा देते हैं, उनको आप शहीद करार दे रहे हो. और उसके बाद आपकी हिमाकत देखो, प्रधानमंत्री के ऊपर ओछी टिप्पणी करने की हिम्मत होती है आपकी. आई एंड बाय सेइंग वन थिंग. आई विल जस्ट कोट फॉर द बेनिफिट ऑफ योर ऑडियंस. Justice R.K. Agarwal, while giving out the judgment in Allahabad High Court and saying that yes, Indian Mujahideen was responsible for the 2006 Varanasi bomb blast. Yes, Indian Mujahideen was responsible for the 2010 Dashashwamedh Varanasi bomb blast. He said, ask to Akhilesh Yadav, you are saying that Indian Mujahideen बेकसूर हैं. कल आप बोलोगे इनको पद्म भूषण दो. These are not Sanju Verma's words. These are Justice R.K. Agarwal's words.
Well, let me take that question to Vandana Singh. And Vandana Singh ji, I want to ask you. And I'm showing you a few facts. Varanasi blast, 2006. Shamim Ahmed alias Sarfaraz was the accused. The matter is still in court. The Samajwadi Party wanted these cases withdrawn. Gorakhpur blast 2007, Tariq Azmi, court refused to allow this case to be taken back, and the accused has been given a 20-year jail sentence. Bijnor blast in 2002, Ahmed Hassan, the matter is still in court. You wanted these cases to be taken back. Lucknow blast in 2007, Yaqub Mukhtar, Ali Akbar, Azizur Rahman, Naushad, Nurul Nasir Kaleem, the matter still in court. You wanted these cases to be withdrawn. The court hasn't allowed it. Kanpur case, 2009, again Imtiaz Ali is the accused, and the court did not allow the cases to be taken back and then gave a verdict of a 23 jail term. Kanpur case 2009, Sitara Begum is the accused. The matter was not allowed to be taken back. 7 years of jail. And then Barabanki, again the accused Tariq Azmi was given a lifetime imprisonment. I want to ask you, this is the 2012 manifesto of the Samajwadi Party that I hold in my hand. And page number 13, you wanted all these innocent people and cases against these Muslim men to be taken back. One community that you talked about. It wasn't about those who are innocent and are lying in jails. It was about Muslim men, and I've told you what the record was in courts. Vandana Singh, I want to ask you, don't you think the Samajwadi Party should clear its record on terror and not begin to accuse the Prime Minister instead?
Navika ji, simple answer and simple question to you now. If there were incidents where they felt that those accused were let go with charges from the question, what were you doing all these years, for 5 years? Why these questions are coming up now? And then you have an investigating agency, you should have re-investigated. There's NIA for that. So when the election comes, डबल इंजन की सरकार को बड़ी जल्दी सब याद आ रहा है, उनको भगवान भी याद आ रहे हैं चुनाव के वक्त, और उसी तरह उनको आतंकवाद की भी चिंता हो रही है चुनाव के वक्त. For last 5 years, I did not hear a word from Prime Minister. What was he doing all this while? And if that boy's father was in the picture with the Akhilesh Yadav, I mean, you cannot call somebody guilty by association. He's not guilty. That was his son. Madam, it's my turn.
This is not.
You speak when your turn comes. I am not talking to you. I'm answering Miss Navika's question. Do not interfere. Don't show your arrogance to me. Do not show your arrogance to me.
Samajwadi Party.
Your Samajwadi. I do not want to indulge with this Sutu manner with you.
Awarded to Mohammed Saif.
Awarded.
Do not second guess the judiciary.
Sanju ji, 1 minute, allow me to moderate. 1 minute, allow me to moderate. Let her make her remarks. Sanju ji, you want to respond? I will give you adequate time to do so. Vandana ji, complete your point.
Navika ji, it's a high time they stop their theatrics. People are fed up. People had enough of these theaters. Okay? And if they're really serious about it, then they should stop accusing other political parties. They should look at themselves and find what have they done all these 5 years? Why did they not take appropriate actions?
While the BJP will defend itself, Vandana ji, the only point I want to make right now is the fact that there is a verdict that's come on the Ahmedabad blast, and this is related to that. Call it coincidence or call it providence. The verdict has just come. So how can you fault?
Yeah. The Prime Minister is saying the cycle was used for bombs, whereas we all know there were 2 cars involved, right? And Mr. Chudasama, the investigating officer, he made it very clear, and he said that there were 2 cars involved in the bombs, and the Prime Minister says cycle was involved in the bomb.
May I come in, Navika?
Is this what we are stooping down?
Sanju Verma is responding to you before I go to Ishkaran Bhandari and Tehseen Poonawalla. Sanju Verma, respond to Vandana ji.
First and foremost, there's nothing called guilty by association in the Ahmedabad bomb blast case. A verdict is out. The verdict was given out by the Chief Justice of the Gujarat High Court, A.R. Patel, by trying to sit here and whitewash Mohammed Saif, your Samajwadi Party leader's son. You're actually second-guessing the judiciary. Stop doing that. The more relevant point is this. Pradhan Mantri ne sirf ye kaha that cycle is something which is used by the common man, and it is absolutely deplorable that cycle was used in the Ahmedabad bomb blast. Tiffins were also used. The Ahmedabad bomb blasts are infamously called as the tiffin bomb and the cycle bomb blast. So Prime Minister was only documenting facts which are already available in public domain. मुझे ये बताओ, मुजाहिदीन के लिए याचिका लेकर इलाहाबाद हाई कोर्ट क्यों गए थे आप? इंडियन मुजाहिदीन याचिका लेकर लखनऊ हाई कोर्ट क्यों गए थे आप? इंडियन मुजाहिदीन is innocent as per Samajwadi Party. Azam Khan is innocent as per Samajwadi Party. Mohammed Saif, who's been given death punishment, is innocent as per Samajwadi Party. Simi, a radical Muslim outfit, is innocent as per Samajwadi Party. Nahid Khan, accused of Tehran genocide, is innocent as per Samajwadi Party. इनका तो ये हाल है कि मुसलमानों की वोट के लिए देश चाहे जहन्नुम में जाए, but these people will continue with their appeasement policy.
You shut up, bloody woman.
Shut up. You are
Hello. Excuse me, please. No unparliamentary language on this show. No unparliamentary language, ladies. Please, let's just hold our horses. Let's not start. Passing these kind of abuses at each other. It doesn't look good. It doesn't really good, raise anybody's stature by making these. Let's fight on facts. That's what debates are for. Fight on facts, argue on facts, debate on facts, but let's not call each other names. But let me get in Tehseen Poonawalla. Tehseen Poonawalla, फिजूल की बात लग रही होगी आपको ये सब टेररिज्म की बात तो, because Priyanka Gandhi ji to thinks that terrorism is not something that should even be discussed. Just like the Samajwadi Party is making cycle the mudda. The issue is not the cycle. I think it's deliberately being, twisted towards that side because, Akhilesh Yadav has just tweeted. He's just put out a tweet where he's shown the Prime Minister on a cycle with some foreign dignitaries. The issue is not about a cycle. The issue is about terror charges. The issue is about the fact that have you flirted with terror in the past or not, and the issue is in focus because of the Ahmedabad blast case. Now, can the Congress party actually come out, take a moral high ground and call it fizul ki baat? You've lost two very senior leaders, two former prime ministers of this country to terror. Is it a fizul ki baat? Just because it's been raised by the Prime Minister and you don't see eye to eye politically with him, this is fizul ki baat?
Thank you for acknowledging that Srimati Priyanka Gandhi Vadra lost her father, Martyr Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi, and her grandmother, Martyr Prime Minister
There's nothing for me to acknowledge or not acknowledge Tehseen Poonawalla. It's a matter of history and the history of India. We all know about it. There has never been any denial of these facts.
I may be allowed to put my point of view. I'm not even
for 1 second. Stop being patronizing.
But I'm just acknowledging. Thank you for accepting. So she's one lady. May I please? I will never be patronizing to you. You know that I have a lot of respect for you, and I say this to you both on and off camera. So I'll never be patronizing. I'm just saying thank you for acknowledging it. But I want your viewers to know that that lady, Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, has lost her father and her grandmother to as martyrs for this country. So she's somebody who knows a little bit about terrorism and has suffered it personally. But I want to come to the main crux of the issue, and it was terrible and arrogance that the cycle has been bought into this issue by a man who's bought himself a new Maybach for crores of rupees and flies in thousands of crores worth aeroplanes, that he's insulted the common man's cycle and tiffins. It is terrible. And this man is going to suffer irrevocably because he's insulting common men like you and me.
This man happens to be the Prime Minister of this country not once but twice over. So Tehseen Poonawala, it doesn't behove you to talk dismissively. Whether you love him, whether you hate him is not the point that can be dictated by anybody. But he is the Prime Minister of India, and let's talk about him as the Prime Minister of India. He's not this man.
Sure.
Look at the audacity of this Poonawala.
Sure. If I'm allowed to put my point of view, if you could please put the fader down, because in the 30 seconds I've been interrupted 3 times. I'm just going to finish it very crisp. This man, the Prime Minister of India, speaks and insults the common people like you and me who have cycles while he... I cannot talk. I cannot do this. I will quit. She can talk. She can have a monologue. Or if you want me on the show and you value my point of view, you got to put her fader down.
Sanju ji, please don't interrupt everybody. Sanju ji, please allow somebody to make a point. You can come in and rebut them later. Yes, Tehseen, complete your point quickly.
Debating with her.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi, not this man.
I'm just going to be very brief.
Do you get that, Mr.
I'm going to be very brief.
Do you get that, Mr. Dinwiddie?
Yes, Sanju ji. Yes, Sanju ji.
I'm going to be...
I've already corrected him. Good. Your point has been noted. Now let him complete his point.
For somebody sitting on a constitutional post as a Prime Minister's post to insult common men who ride cycles by saying cycles were a source of terror while he himself is buying himself new Maybachs and planes at our expense is unacceptable. And if you're so insulted because I call the Honorable Prime Minister this man, if that's so insulting, imagine what the common people are speaking to. I had no intention, but I just said this for the common people, how bad they must be.
I began this debate, and sorry you missed the first part of the debate, Anishkaran Bhandari. I want to come to this point. Are they making the cycle the symbol? Are they trying to deflect and make cycle the symbol and saying this is an insult to the common man just because they don't have answers for the pictures that have been put out by the BJP, for the fact that Abu Azmi in a picture standing with Akhilesh Yadav, he's an honorable member of the Samajwadi Party, was arrested in a Tada case. And Mohammad Saif's father is also with Akhilesh Yadav. There is no answer to any of that. The answers are only about the cycle. Is this trivializing the issue of the terror charges? 1 minute. 1 minute, Tehseen. 1 minute, Tehseen.
I am not. Please allow
on my show, at least allow me to speak.
I'm just going to finish my point. Second thing. But you're continuously interrupting me. I just have the second point to make. I would have finished. So yes, one was the cycle and the Maybach. The second point, if the association by picture makes Akhilesh Yadav ji and his family guilty, association by picture, by the same logic, the Honorable Prime Minister of India, for whom I have the greatest regards and respect, is guilty of the scam Nirav Modi and Mehul Choksi did.
All right,
because the Prime Minister had Mehul
both your points have been repeated 3 times over. Now take a pause, take a deep breath, and Ishkaran Bhandari respond to Tehseen.
If I could now speak. Navika ji, since we're discussing terror, firstly, my prayers to the family of Harsha.
Please, let us all speak. We are not here to create
that debate is on next, and Ishkaran, I request you to stay back for that. That debate is on next, and I request you to stay back for that.
When this comes to this, I will just read from your sister publication's article of 2012. 3 days ago, Allahabad High Court slammed the UP government, that is the Samajwadi government, for its attempt to withdraw prosecution against a Muslim cleric named Wailullah and associate Shamim, who were charge-sheeted for Varanasi blasts which led 21 dead. They issued a 13-point program, a 13-point letter to district magistrates saying whether such cases can be withdrawn, which included Pota cases, which included cases where of the CRPF attack, which included cases of the court blast. As you have already documented, so many of them led to stringent punishments, including life imprisonment and capital punishment. So that is the crux of the debate. In matters where we have had a trial and conviction, those were the matters they wanted to abort and freeze those terrorists in public interest. That is something they must address squarely. They can talk about cycle. They can say that that was a comment which is this or that. I don't understand how that relates to a Maybach. because Tehseen keeps talking about Congress's Prime Minister or India's Prime Minister who are Congress leaders who have lost their life. He should be the first one to want adequate security for the Prime Minister, but probably BJP Prime Minister does not deserve it as per him. But the reality is the square charge. Did you try to withdraw those cases? Did those cases result in conviction? That should be answered, and that should be answered so that the people of India can opine that you wanted to abort the judicial process. 3 people who have been convicted by the courts of India for heinous crimes of killing people en masse.
Absolutely. Respond to that, Tehseen Poonawalla. And while you're responding, also remember and knock your memory a little bit, because it wasn't as if Congress Prime Ministers, were in 7 Racecourse Road and traveling on cycles. They also had their BMWs, and those were also new BMWs, top of the line at that point in time, which they used. All right. So when you go out there pointing, fingers at the Prime Minister and his carcade, just remember the time that not all prime ministers were traveling by cycle. Okay, so when you make that point, just flash back and think about the times that the Congress has been in power. But respond to the point Ishkaran made.
Thank you. Not just the Congress, every single Prime Minister must get adequate security, but no Prime Minister, whether it's Prime Minister Vajpayee, Gujarat, who are not Congress Prime Minister, Deve Gowda, Chandrasekhar or Rajiv Ji or Narasimha Rao Ji, Manmohan Singh Ji, insulted the cycle and the common man. Like the current Prime Minister who bought himself new cars, but is insulting the common man. Let's come to this question Ishkaran Bhandari raised, and let me answer that legally. That's a good legal question Ishkaran raised. And the answer to that is this. If by that logic the Samajwadi Party was associated in terrorism, why for all these years that Honorable Prime Minister Modi has been Prime Minister, he is not charged the Samajwadi Party with any of these charges, and he brings it out now during election? Second point, if by that logic the Samajwadi Party is associated with terrorism, by the same logic Vijay Mallya's lookout notice was removed the day Vijay Mallya escaped. And he was talking to BJP people.
Don't compare apples and oranges, but Ishkaran Bhandari respond to Tehseen, and I want to go to Vandana Ji and Sanju Ji. Quick 30-second response.
Just a 30-second response in a 2-point, because Tehseen tries to run down the clock by bringing cars and planes and God knows what. The fact is that you are yourself admitting that you tried to withdraw those terror cases. Those cases resulted in conviction. And as a Prime Minister in a democracy, you are entitled to raise that, one second, that the previous government was trying to help terrorists, was trying to dilute those charges. That is a charge any responsible leader will make at a party which was trying to dilute cases.
And that's the question I want to ask Vandana Ji. Vandana Ji, when it is a listed matter in your manifesto of 2012 कि मुस्लिम बच्चों को, मुस्लिम लोगों को जो बेगुनाह हैं उनके खिलाफ कार्यवाही की आड़ में जो हो रहा है वो हमें केसेस विथड्रॉ करने हैं, and then you see the result. Why is the Prime Minister being prevented from raising these issues? I want to know.
Navika Ji, I want to come back to this Ahmedabad story which you raised. Mr. Yadav, the father, had spoken to certain journalists over the phone, and he said the decision of court was reserved on 3rd of September 21, and verdict came out on the 18th Feb 22. This verdict came on the date intentionally because of elections. What does that mean?
So now you are saying that the BJP has influenced the court verdict to come out in the middle of the elections? Are you saying that this is not a reflection only on the government, on the Prime Minister, on the BJP? It's a reflection on the court you are making, Vandana Ji.
I am repeating what the father of that terrorist
So the father is a member of the Samajwadi Party. Vandana Ji, the father is a member of the Samajwadi Party. So does your party question the date of the verdict? Does your party question the date of the verdict?
Father has issued a statement saying I was a part of Samajwadi Party, but I left long back. That's
Sanju Verma, respond to Vandana.
This is all to polarize and to do the hate politics.
Sanju Verma, respond to Vandana Ji.
Navika Ji, I'm so glad that the Samajwadi Party representative has brought up this point. There is a 7,000-page charge sheet, and 1,100 witnesses. And you know what Justice A.R. Patel said while giving out the judgment? He said one very important thing. He said the incident took place on the 26th of July 2008. And he said by the 15th of August 2008, the police had already collected large amount of evidence. And if the Congress party wanted, and if the likes of Samajwadi Party had cooperated, then the guilty would have been brought to book much earlier. Do you know why it took more than 13 or 14 years? Because the Congress was in power in the center and your Samajwadi Party's corrupt regime.
Ladies and gentlemen, on the one hand, while there is a question that is being raised about the timing of the judgment.
No, I need to finish, please. Navika ji, I need to finish.
Ma'am, I'm running out of time. I'm running out of time.
Show is for everyone. Please distribute equal time to all the panelists.
Navika, this is unfair.
10 seconds. 10 seconds. Sanju Verma, 10 seconds.
बात यहाँ खत्म होती है मोहम्मद
10 seconds.
Accused and sentenced to death punishment. His father Shadab Ahmed, an active card carrying member of Samajwadi Party, and Samajwadi Party is not going to come back to power. The cycle example was used pejoratively by the Prime Minister. And as for Tehsil's layback, your Sonia Gandhi stays in a flat which is of the size of 15,000 square meters. The Prime Minister's bungalow is lesser in size. And
Well,
Sonia Gandhi
that's not the subject matter of the debate. Vandana ji, the timing question that has been raised by you is extremely unfortunate because this not only is a charge on a political party or the Prime Minister, it's a charge on the courts. For you to raise it just as a matter of debate doesn't seem like a happy coincidence. But we leave it at that. In this country, Yaqub Memon's death verdict is also asked for a review at midnight. In this country, terrorism, cases of terrorism is what has become the issue of debate at the time of an election on whether terrorism and terror credentials are something that should be raised or not raised. It's a question I want to ask the people of this country. Anybody who wants their bijli sadak pani, their roti kapda makan, would they not want security first? And is this a taboo topic for elections? It's a question we must think about, especially at times like these, when each of us is just so vulnerable because of security concerns. Think about it. Thank you very much to all my panelists for joining me on debate number 1. Taking